Well, it's officially college football season. In just about 38 hours, we got the first game kicking off. It's going to be Irish Farmageddon. I'm stamping that. I have not heard anybody else call this game that. They just call it Farmageddon. It's Irish Farmageddon this year. It's a special occasion. For those of you new around here, by the way, my name is Colin Bashnagel, your host here at Bash's College Football Show. You can look me up over here on TikTok. If you do that, you get more of the instant reactions. Obviously, we're going to be reacting to the action on Saturday, either Saturday night or Sunday morning. But if you want the instant reaction, the minute that the game ends, I basically post, or during the game at halftime or something like that, whatever game I'm talking about or want to talk about, I'm going to talk about it on TikTok. So make sure you go drop a follow over there. And then also like this video if you like the video. And you know what? Stick around and see if you end up liking the video before you decide. But if you hit that like button, it's going to help somebody else be able to find this channel, and I would really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe for more content. But without further ado, we're getting into our first game preview with Iowa State and Kansas State in Aviva Stadium in Dublin, Ireland. This is going to be an awesome game. I hate that it's not on campus, not going to lie. But I love this game. This game is going to be amazing. It's going to feed families. It's going to be everything that it's going to be hyped up to be. Now, all the rankings that you're going to see until the college football playoff ends up releasing their rankings, the committee, we're going to feature my rankings because I do not value the AP poll. That's not how I evaluate teams. I don't think the AP poll matters for anything but history. The AP poll used to matter. It doesn't matter and hasn't mattered in a very long time since we moved to the BCS. So that's my take. That's my position. Argue with it the way that you want. We got number 15 in my rankings, Kansas State, taking on number 19 in my rankings, Iowa State. And the big question that the Cyclones are going to have to answer in this game is going to be the wide receiver position. They addressed it in the portal. They had Xavier Townsend, a talented kid from UCF. They also had Chase Soul, which I feel like a lot of people are very high on Chase Soul. He had 678 yards last year on 34 receptions in just 9 games. Now, in his 2 years starting over at East Carolina, he has not shown the ability to be a touchdown threat. But the good thing for Iowa State is when you have Ben Brahmer, when you have Gabe Burkle, you don't really need these guys to be big-time touchdown threats, red zone threats. And that is not what Chase Soul is, but I think they can live with that. They also have a couple of other guys to watch out for. Eli Green, by the way, has been there a very long time. Very impressed when I watched him last year at times. I think that him as a wide receiver 3 last year is getting a little bit underappreciated because of those 2 transfers. Now, this O-line is also very experienced too, and they rotate a lot too. Like, you're going to see guys in the 2 deep come in. I expect to see a lot of Tyler Merrow and James Neal and Tyler Miller. Those tackles are all 3 going to play. And if I'm not mistaken too, Tyler Merrow, he can also be able to play on either sides of the line of scrimmage, which is very tough to do. Right now, this has him listed as left tackle, but I watched him play right tackle a lot of the year last year. And the interior of the O-line is really good too. Brendan Black, the right guard, comes back. Dylan Barrett. And then Trevor Burr, if I recall correctly from last year, I believe he's a new starter on the O-line, but I believe he's the only one. All of these other guys have started on the O-line. So this is going to make it very tough for Kansas State's defense going up against Carson Hansen and this running ability with him, and Abu Sama is still there. They're going to be able to run the ball as well. So that could potentially ease Rocco Beck into finding chemistry early this season with these wide receivers. I think this Iowa State team could be very dangerous. Obviously, I had my predictions on what I thought they could do, but I certainly can see them being a contender in the Big 12 for sure. But they got to win this game, and their challenge is going up against this front 7, who Chris Kleiman believes is the best front 7 in the conference. He really loves his linebacker room, and you got to start with a guy who I think will be on a Butkus watch list. It's going to be Austin Romaine this year. on maybe a Buckets finalist at the end of the year. We'll see. He is an absolute monster. He's an absolute beast. They also added a lot of depth too. And I like what they have. They're about 5 or 6 deep at linebacker. They run a 3-3-5 hybrid type of defense. I think that's going to work very, very well for them. And those linebackers are going to really assist in that run game. So the experience on the O-line, are they going to be able to play very consistently, though? I am unsure about the talent of, like, for example, Tyler Miller at right tackle. We're going to have to see him elevate a little bit. Brandon Black elevate a little bit. All these guys just have to elevate a little bit. For Iowa State, I think Kansas State potentially could win the battle on the line of scrimmage, especially when Iowa State's trying to run the ball. Now, when Kansas State has the football, they got Avery Johnson back for year 2. And this game is going to show a full offseason of work for Avery Johnson and whether or not he can make the most of the talent that he has. He's got a nice arm, very accurate at points, but he's very inconsistent throwing the ball. And we know about his athleticism as well. Turnovers were also a big issue last year, and he's going to be playing against a very experienced back seven at Iowa State. He's got to take care of the football, and I think they gave him a little bit more as far as weapons go to try to spread that ball around. Now, obviously, Jace Brown is back, and he was a stud last year. They also have Oakley back at tight end. They have a running back in Dylan Edwards who's really good out of the backfield. Same with Jackson. But here's the big thing that they did in the portal. They added wide receivers, and the big one was Jaron Bradley. And I expect to see a lot of 12 personnel in ordinary situations. But behind him, you even got guys. Now, Jaron Bradley, by the way, Boston College transfer, started at Texas Tech with Tyler Shuck. He's a really solid player. The other wide receivers, we'll see how they perform here. The first one, Caleb Medford, showed moments at New Mexico, but number one, it was at New Mexico. And number two, he definitely played in a system that was very wide receiver friendly a little bit. Simply because when teams played against New Mexico early in the season, it looked like they would be a run-heavy team that ended up kind of transitioning into a more balanced team as Devin Dampier developed. That's what Caleb Medford dealt with, and he ended up being productive. We'll see what ends up happening with him going to the Power 4 and playing for the Kansas State Wildcats. You also got Jerron Tibbs coming into a couple of unknowns right there, but I think that those two guys are a little bit of wild cards that definitely could make an impact. So the big advantage that I see Kansas State having in this game is on the line of scrimmage. I think they're going to win. I question how good the defensive line is going to be for Iowa State. And though they have experience on the offensive line, I don't necessarily know if they're good enough to handle what Kansas State, brings on that front seven themselves. So ultimately, when I'm breaking down this game, I think that's a big difference. And I also think Avery Johnson's legs are going to be a huge difference. I expect for him to pick up big third down conversions using his legs, but they got to make sure they stay ahead of the chains. Don't put Avery Johnson in situations where he's more vulnerable to turn the ball over. I would not recommend putting a bet on this game. If you are somebody that bets, I don't necessarily encourage betting, but if you are somebody that looks for different videos, trying to get a little bit of tips here, I would stay away from this one. Just because it's week 0 doesn't mean you would have to bet. I am taking Kansas State, though, to win 27-20, which means I have them covering the spread, and I also have the under hitting by just a couple of points. This Kansas State team is really good. I'm very high on them. I think this is going to be a heavyweight battle, and really Iowa State has a pretty tough schedule this year. So I think this game is very important for both teams, but in particular, Iowa State needs to be able to steal it. So the importance of this game is why you should go and watch it. I'm going to have the Iowa State Cyclones winning. And by the way, that 0-0 that you saw there, I'm going to get rid of in the next video. I totally forgot to do that. I wanted to keep it there for one page so that way I could just easily put in the score for when I go over finals. But next game, we're going to preview Hawaii and Stanford over here. You see those two pennants behind me. You see Kansas State and Iowa State behind me. We're going to have all the best games right over here. This is going to be a fun season, man. I'm so excited. There is so much in the Big 12 to be excited about too. So make sure you comment down below what you think. Who's going to win this game between Iowa State, Kansas State? Give me some score predictions down below or some bold takes about either of these teams. And I'm going to close out with this because this is the first of these videos. The college football season schedule for me is going to be very, very simple. We're going to react to stuff Saturday night into Sunday morning. And then we're going to be doing a little bit more of a weekly recap on Monday morning before we jump into the next week on Tuesdays. You can expect for Thursdays to be walk that line segments. I'm not sure if I'm going to have time to get it in before Saturday morning, but it will be in by Saturday morning. And the good thing is, the good thing is most of them are futures. So there's one play and it doesn't, that game doesn't kick off till 7 o'clock for week 0. The other stuff is futures. So we got plenty of time when it comes to that. I can make an exception for this week, but I can promise you walk that line for week 1 is going to be a little bit different because of Thursday and Friday. We're going to have 2 different ones. But walk that line is where I basically put my best plays of the week, where we keep track of my record. It's just simply for competitive, like, let's see how I'm doing. Let's see what my knowledge is showing me. It's not gambling advice. I want to put that out there, but we're going to be also doing these previews throughout the whole week from Tuesday to Friday, just sprinkling them in, uploading them here and there. And then Saturday morning is game time. Not quite sure if or what I'm going to be doing on Saturday mornings, generally speaking, if I can, but hopefully I get something going, especially just check out TikTok for that. But enough promo right there. We got this video going a little bit long, I guess, now because of that. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you leave a like. Next up, we got Hawaii and Stanford. That's posting Friday afternoon.